welcome back to our Jupiter's Legacy podcast. I'm Ron, and I'm here with my co-host Jake. What's up, Jake?
Hey, what's happening?
We are here to talk about Jupiter Circle Volume 2, and this kind of had a little bit of a different format than the first volume, because I feel like the first volume really focused in on a specific character for at least 2 issues or whatever.
Utopian, right?
Well, this one kind of has like a plot thread that goes through everything. Yeah, to me, he's like the Lex Luthor stand-in.
Okay.
That guy Hobbs or whatever.
Right.
We do kind of delve a little bit deeper into, well, definitely the Utopian, because he didn't really get as much of an issue dedicated to him in that first volume.
Right.
So, we get a little bit of his personal life with his wife, and that kind of starts the whole thing off. I thought that was interesting. Just to recap what this whole podcast is about, I'm doing the reread of this after a decent amount of years. Yeah. And you're reading this for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, he had a different wife before, what's her name? Lady Liberty or whatever the fuck her name.
Divorced him for the strangest reason.
Yeah, it is really weird.
You're far too ideal.
I mean, dude, honestly, every girlfriend that I've ever had, they break up with me for that reason. They're like, you're too perfect. You don't have any flaws. Like, I need a guy with flaws. Right. So
fucking ridiculous.
But it was interesting going through her day-to-day experiences, like having a superhero as a husband or whatever.
Yeah. It
was kind of cool. I don't know if you felt this way, but I feel like there were a little bit more superhero elements for you, but it's still in the background, like we were talking about last time.
It's still kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
Which irks me, and I understand it's fundamentally a kind of a character-driven thing, and you have to kind of give a shit about the characters in order for any of the story to work, and that's kind of where I'm still struggling, trying to give a crap. You know what I mean? There's a couple characters I like. They're all kind of strange subversions of existing characters. Professor X, Superman, that kind of thing, which is fine. I think that's kind of the point. Like, the whole thing kind of feels like some sort of pseudo Justice League story, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I just think by the time you get comfortable and find some kind of equilibrium with any of these characters, it jumps straight into something the fuck else that you kind of have no idea where this is going. So as soon as we got somewhat comfortable understanding these characters, it's about to jump straight ahead into the modern day now with I guess the next volume in the Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of strange, because even this is fundamentally some sort of origin story, other than the bullshit going on with their fucking wives and their failed relationships, and then crazy politicians just trying to use them to further their own means, and what's the real concept behind an American superhero, not just necessarily international superhero, but specifically how would a group of American superheroes be utilized by its government, and some sort of the obligations they might put on themselves. So that's kind of interesting. And they do he does a really good job of kind of giving you an idea of where you are in time with all of these, which I do appreciate. That bastard Johnson. As soon as they started bringing it up, I was like, I know exactly where you're at. This is after Kennedy dealing with that bastard Johnson.
Yeah.
But no, this one wasn't bad. I have a lot of the same complaints I've had over the last couple, though. I'm still just trying to find my way in. I like the Sky Fox character.
Yeah, I understand that. I think that really just comes down to it's really not your cup of tea as far as a comic goes. Right. Just knowing what you're into. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the first one we were talking about, it is very. It really has those soap opera elements.
Oh, dude, the whole time.
This one, it takes that down a notch, a little bit.
After the first,
it's a little more
issue
fun.
And a half, because the first few pages or whatever, the first issue of that was all utopian fucking bullshit relationship stuff. I was like, dude, I don't fucking care about your relationship with your fucking wife. Do something do something heroic. I don't know. That bothered me. Like, the whole time, it's like, dude, I don't fucking care about your relationship with your goddamn girlfriend. Grow up. Like, dude, stop fucking crying.
Well,
Everybody.
he was like fine about it for till the end. Really,
Utopian's crying because he's too perfect. Like
He's
I just built this shack for a bunch of African children for Christmas, and my wife left me.
My wife.
It's like I don't know. I'm trying. It's not bad. Like
Yeah.
I don't finish an issue. I don't finish an arc or a volume going like that sucked. You know what I mean? It's conflict. I'm conflicted with it. That's all.
Yeah,
You know?
I just like I said, I think it's just not your thing, really.
It's totally out of my comfort zone.
I do think that the next volume that we go to when we jump back into the future, so which is kind of like a sequel to the first Jupiter's Legacy volume.
Right.
I think you'll like it a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it does focus on like the heroes doing heroic things and the villains trying to find them.
Right.
And get to them. So I think you'll enjoy that more.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the superhero and supervillain aspects of this story a lot more than volume 1 because like I said, you have that Hobbs character. I like that.
Yeah.
I also liked the whole Sky Fox thing. Like obviously after what happened last volume, he's kind of just like, because of the time period, they kind of call him like he's like a beatnik now. He's like hanging out with like Kerouac.
Yeah.
And
it's like, Jesus Christ.
And it's funny because like I also really like that character, Sky Fox.
Mm-hmm.
He starts to get very political, and he starts to get very like world weary, and he's thinking about the riots that are going on.
Yeah.
People like that are always like talking about activism and stuff can tend to be sort of annoying. In my opinion,
it's tiresome. Yeah.
But for some reason it doesn't matter. Like I still really like the core of the character.
Yeah.
And I also like that about Mark Millar's writing too, is because like I don't know, everybody has their own character and their own flaws.
Right.
And it's not just Mark Millar writing as Mark Millar for every character. You know what I mean? Like that's a mistake that a lot of writers make when you're reading the dialogue of their characters. You're like, oh, that's you're talking through them.
Right. Not every character should sound like Rorschach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah. And the cool thing is I don't really know which character might be talking through Mark Millar. You know what I mean? Because he can just as easily have a character that you could sympathize with and like, and still say some shit that you're like, I don't know if Mark Millar agrees with what this guy is saying. He's just writing the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. You don't have to agree with. Obviously, you shouldn't agree. Like, there's no. I completely understand what you're saying. It makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what I always really find interesting with his work, and it's also interesting that he can. Even in that scene where Sky Fox or George or whatever, he's talking to that group of authors. I like that he's being annoying. Well, to me at least. This is my interpretation. He's being annoying, but also owning up to his own faults as a human being at the same time. In the same section of the book,
right?
He's still a very compelling character. And you don't have to, it's just proof that you can like a character and you don't have to love everything they say or do in the story at any given moment. But I still really enjoyed that. It's cool that he kind of becomes like sort of a villain because he kind of takes matters into his own hands.
Well, they did everything they could to ostracize him. You know what I mean? Like they basically turned him into a pariah just because he had his own way of wanting to go about things, and they weren't necessarily the right way. But at the ends justified the means, I guess, with that character.
Yeah.
But it's kind of it's a similar position that I guess what happens in the first volume of Jupiter's Legacy, how Professor X, at least that's what the fuck I know, Professor X turns into that.
So we'll also say Brainwave.
Right, that guy with the mustache. He's they kind of set him up where it was almost hubris on the fact of all the other superheroes, where he put everything into place to take over. And it's kind of a similar thing with like Sky Fox. They kind of did everything they could to put him in a position where he felt like the only way he could serve the function he feels he needs to serve is through going about it his way. And that's not necessarily the way that, they would find permissible or anything like that. But I still think it's he's an interesting character. He's by far the most interesting character in the fucking series. It still reminds me of Mysterion. He's just like that gratuitous dark
character. Talking about Skyfox now?
Yeah, Skyfox. So he's just like kind of that gratuitous dark character. Same thing with Brainwave. Brainwave is like it's a fucking weird dude, man. I don't understand. He's just a prick. He's a prick all the time, and he's one of the main superheroes. You know, I just kind of I don't understand it.
Well, I think it's a good dynamic because it's, you know, he's related to the Utopian.
Right.
And so they have like a family bond. And then you also have Skyfox, who's just always been really good friends with the Utopian.
Right.
So I like that little triangle, especially what's going on with...
Right.
You know, that whole weird thing where his wife is with Brainwave now, and he kind of, it is cool how it sets it all back up again at the end, because Skyfox is kind of cool with it, and even basically has like a heart-to-heart with Brainwave saying like, look, I maybe got a little crazy. I thought that you made her, fall in love with you with your powers. But, I can see now that it was just me. I was being a drunk asshole or whatever. Right. And then that's when at the end he's like, nope, I did do that.
Right.
And that's what sets everything off, because he knows that the Utopian is not going to let Skyfox kill him.
Right.
So he really is a shithead, man. Like it's such a shitty...
It's fucking... The whole thing is weird. Like, they could have avoided most of these problems if they would all just calm the fuck down and like just talk. Like, holy shit.
I think that's the whole point. It's like none of these people had it figured out.
Dude,
I think it just shows
problems
you
they've tried to solve this entire comic book arc is their fucking relationship problems.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck off.
Well, here's the thing. I do want to mention one thing really quick, because this does eventually come up later on, and it's very important.
Right.
When the Utopian takes his wife on a date to, what was it, like the moon or something?
Oh, and they find the
he finds that little device, right?
Yeah.
That's going to come up later in the future. Okay. So that's cool. It's kind of like his version of kind of like the Kirby mother box type situation. Right. Okay. So that was cool. I actually forgot about that in the second. I'm like, oh yeah, he was setting all this stuff up even back then. So I like that element. Like I said, I really liked, the main villain of this.
I didn't. They're really,
because it was fun. It kind of reminded me of, like I said, I think that was like a Lex Luthor type of thing. Okay. But more Lex Luthor from like the Christopher Reeve movie.
Right.
I don't know. That's just what I got out of it.
So they could figure out a way to steal their superpowers.
You just have to go with, this guy is the smartest man in the world, right? And he somehow figured that out.
It's like, for fuck's sake. You think they would have figured out a way to engineer their own superpowers instead of just figuring out a device that was... technologically advanced enough to steal powers and then transmute them to somebody else. Like, that's, what the fuck? I just thought it was really weird. And like the whole premise of his scheme, I guess, was, just like, how could we beat the superheroes? Well, we could steal their powers. It's like, fuck off. Like that bothered me. It's just like, that's not a real threat. That's something you put down and it lasted 2 pages. That is not some overarching threat. It's not an actual story in my eyes. It's just something that happens. Because
I don't think... See, the funny thing is, all the things that you're not liking about the story,
right,
I like, because I know that, first of all, it's not supposed to be like a really strong story point. Right. It's just kind of like, again, a backdrop for all these characters and all the stuff they're going through.
Right.
And that was kind of a device to get Skyfox back into the fold and then have that fall out again, where it was like, now we get that moment where Brainwave tells him that I did do this to your wife to get back at you for all the times you were a dick to me.
No, I got you.
And it's just it's supposed to be silly.
No, it certainly is.
Yeah, so and that's why you're like, yeah, it's silly. It's supposed to be. So I guess you could take it whatever way you want. I don't know.
Silly, not silly. There hasn't been hardly a superhero fucking thing that's happened in this entire series so far. When it comes in terms of the origin, there's again those few aspects in the first volume, and in the second volume, there was a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Like you had like the Greys and shit like that. That whole weird experience.
That was cool.
Like that was interesting.
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't know. I'm still kind of struggling. I could make it through a few issues, and they didn't cry about their fucking relationship. I would have a better time reading this fucking story. Like,
yeah, that's really just. I know that's not you. That's not your thing.
It's fucking breaking it for me. It's breaking.
And
it for me.
I really do think because the next volume that we're gonna cover, it's back into the future.
Right.
Frank Quietly's back on the art.
Okay.
There's a lot of action in it. There's a lot of superhero stuff. Okay. It's cool.
No, cool.
I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
But this is a funny experiment because with this podcast, like if we end up doing another one where the whole idea of this is like, I'm rereading it. I like it. I'm recommending it to you. And then you're telling me like in a brutally honest way, what you think about it. Right. So it's going to be funny to do that with something else that you pick next time.
It'll be a little stranger.
Yeah. So
probably be very similar though.
Yeah, but as far as the characters go, it really focuses the most on the utopian, and then I would say Skyfox, obviously, and then a little bit on. God, I could reread this 800 times. I'll still be bad with names,
right?
But what Lady Liberty, right? Like that's her superhero name.
Okay.
Yeah, it focuses on her a little bit, and then it comes back to her.
It's
at
the
end.
chick who can't find the fucking find a man. See again, going back to.
I think that was the whole idea. Is like these nobody can really relate to them and their powers because they're like gods,
right?
And I guess he was trying to make the point that normal people have a hard time being in relationships with them or having, sexual encounters with them or whatever.
Right.
And he didn't really need to spend that much time on it. But just right at the end, it's like, okay, of course, this is like Wonder Woman and Superman. They just are like, fuck it, let's get together. And then they have kids,
Right.
So I guess that was the whole point. But yeah, that was funny that his wife was like, it was like boring to her that she got everything she wanted and everything was perfect. I was
just fucking pissed. I fucking get through the whole goddamn issue and it just ends with her arbitrarily going, this is far too ideal for my taste. I really think we need to go our separate ways. It's just well, you really could have fucking did that 18 pages ago. And we could have gone somewhere else with this fucking story because who fuck gives a shit? Like that.
It was driving the point home. She's like going through day-to-day stuff.
I got
so and she's the whole time she's talking about how great it is, and then at the end it's kind of like the surprising thing.
Right.
Oh, I actually, as great as all this was, I don't really like it for some reason. And you're too perfect, and I'm getting out of here.
No,
and he's like, okay.
I understood that. I'm really just hung up on like the fucking just whole direction of how he's trying to humanize people who are humans in the first place that got random superpower. It's really fucking weird. Yeah. Like they understand what it is to be human. They're not that fucking weird. They've only had superpowers for a little while. It's not like they go from being a normal person to completely extraterrestrial, I guess, psychologically in terms of their environment and all that stuff. Like it's not alien to them. So like, why are they acting? It's fucking weird. They're acting like they're completely detached or out of touch. And it doesn't make any fucking sense. Everything is taken from 2 to 10. There's no real buildup there. There's no reconciling of the powers. It's all, I have these powers and now all of this shit's going on around them. You know what I mean? They can't keep relationships, all this kind of fucking soap opera-y nonsense going on with them. I just think it's weird. Some of that is just kind of fucking weird. Like they really act in the book like, oh, I have no idea what it's like to be a normal person. And it's like, fuck off. You were just a normal person 2 years ago, dude. 10 years ago. 20 years ago. Like, that's not something that you just forget. It's like, you were born that way, motherfucker. You just learned to fly.
Maybe you could, though. Like, maybe, I think about this sometimes. Like, if somebody's famous since they were a child and they don't really know what it's like to not be famous, that could like fuck with them or whatever.
Right.
But then even on the other side of it, if you become famous, even at any age, it could maybe get to your head and change you anyway. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. It's a point that bothers me, I guess. It's a point of contention. It's more to me not so much a child star as, well, it's not quite so much this. It's another extreme, like Rodney Dangerfield or something like that. He didn't get any notoriety or anything like that until he was in his 40s or 50s or something like that. And it's like, yeah, you were literally a person most of your life. Like, you hired a motherfucker to take you on a boat out to an island where you got random ass fucking superpowers, dude. Like, you are a grown ass man. Like a human being. It's like, stop acting like you're detached. It's fucking weird. I don't know. But other than that, I don't know. I'm interested to see how it jumps ahead and how it maybe his approach to the storytelling will change slightly too. So, and it's kind of been changing over the course of these last few volumes. I won't say for the better, but I'm really hoping that I don't know, Jupiter's Legacy picks it back up again and goes somewhere different.
As far as the Utopian goes, we kind of know where that ends up, because you see his kids at the end. Okay, cool. And then as far as Skyfox goes, because you haven't read the next volume yet, it kind of leaves it open. So he obviously escaped from his own, from the prison, Supermax or whatever that he basically created.
Yeah.
Or came up with the idea for it. So that's going to be cool. I mean, I think it'll be cool for you, and I'm excited to reread it again because he does come back like in the future. So
yeah, that's his kid,
and it's cool because he can interact with his kid.
Right.
And I think it's going to be fun to talk about with both of us, because I think you'll have more to talk about with that stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. I think you will like the next two volumes more.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I think this was just an experiment. Like, let's go through the day-to-day personal lives of the original heroes that got the powers.
Right. Not the demographic for that.
Yeah, right. But I ended up really liking it. It's cool because I'm rereading it now, like starting from that. Because now I'm gonna read. I know we're gonna do the next Jupiter's Legacy, like the volume 2 of the future stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read volume 1 again, and then 2 and 3, or of Jupiter's Legacy.
Oh, specifically, okay.
And just to get it, like that whole full effect. Like, okay, we read the prequel. Now, what's it like if I jump?
Yeah, absolutely. This was jarring. Like, so there was maybe it was issue 3 or issue 4 that I noted. They had 2 artists do like the first 15 pages, and then another artist do like the last 15 pages. Like the second artist picked up from like page 16 on. I was like, and there's no overt tonal shift in the story. There's nothing that demands a second style to I guess.
That was just a matter of a deadline. Like, they had to get someone in to finish a couple pages.
Fucking weird.
Yeah. It's always jarring. I mean, it's always jarring when you're reading something and you go, whoa, wait a minute, something just changed.
Well, it can be done in a really cool way. You know what I mean? Like, I think Sandman did that a couple
some people
times.
use it for like, okay, the flashbacks will be a fill-in artist.
And that's cool. I like it when there's that contrast of styles. But not when it's done arbitrarily, especially for deadline. Like, go fuck yourself for deadline.
I know,
Nobody
but it happens.
Is waiting.
It happens.
Nobody is waiting at the edge of their fucking seat for the shit to come out. Maybe take another 3 weeks and let the fucking guy do another 15 pages. You know what I mean? Like, relax.
You know what's funny? I doubt Mark Miller would ever do that again, because now he has like so much money. He's just like, nope. I hired you for 5 or 6 issues, and I just probably gave you enough money to buy a fucking house, so you could just take your time and draw this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. To me, it's almost like a conflict of not necessarily a conflict, but like there is no cohesion in terms of like the direction of the story. Like everything kind of feels weird and out of place when you get to a certain point.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily the case even with that specific issue, because it starts off kind of strange. And then that second artist they had, like the last half of that book was really good. like art wise, it's it's very simple. A lot of this art is very simple, almost very classic, and I think that's probably from like the retro
this whole
approach of the whole story in general.
Yep.
But I don't know. It was a weird read. I kind of left myself going, what the fuck, when I finished that last episode. Maybe it was more or less complaining about everybody's fucking griping and complaining about their bullshit in their lives and their girlfriends, but that's about it, man. I felt like I was just got done hanging out in the garage with my friends after drinking a couple of beers, and all they did was complain about their wives.
That probably happens to you.
Like, it definitely does, dude. That's how I felt.
And you're like, can't relate.
Like, no, not at all. Fuck that shit.
It's all making sense now.
And I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
But no, it was fun. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Hey, you powered through it.
I did.
I know it wasn't your style, really, but you powered through it. I think you're going to enjoy the next two a lot, and I'm looking forward to those discussions. And we'll take it from there. I'm excited now to get back into the. Now these are the children of these superheroes that complain all the time.
Right, exactly. Holy crap! I hope they don't complain as much. That's all I gotta say. I really hope they don't complain as much. But with my luck, a bunch of fucking millennials.
No, it's very different stylistically, not just with the art, but also with the story. It's just like now it's a straight ahead story. Like we're
it
continuing
actually turns
on
into a narrative.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Thank God.
Exactly.
That's I think that was really one of my other biggest problems. There's really no narrative. There's a bunch of little stories. It's a bunch of little interactions and like stupid shit between whatever, them and their government, and there's really no fucking story at all.
Yes, all by design, I think. He was probably like, if I'm going to do a prequel, I'll do it like this. I won't try to like make it another epic thing like I'm doing in the future parts of this story.
Oh, I got you.
So yeah, I like it. I thought it was really fun to reread. I like all the characters. I mean, like Blue Bolt and the Flare and stuff are kind of like, we got their whole story in the first volume, but after that, obviously they take like a huge backseat in this, which is fine.
Right.
They're really not the stars of the show anyway. It's really? Okay.
Blue Bolt isn't the star of the show.
Yeah, but I am looking forward to the next volume. It's gonna be fun. We can discuss the Frank Whiteley art because he goes fucking crazy in this next one.
Really? Okay. No, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, cool, man. Thank you for sitting in on this.
That's it, man. Through.
Thank you for struggling through two volumes of Days of Our Lives.
Sometimes you just gotta fucking man up and get through it, man. And I did.
And we'll see you next time for episode 4.
Absolutely.
Already, wow.
So next one's Jupiter's Legacy. I guess it's volume 4.
I mean, it used to be. I guess you could say it's volume 4 of the whole Jupiter's Legacy saga. This is where it gets confusing. Right. But like when I started buying all this stuff, to me it's like Jupiter's Legacy volume 2, and the two that we were talking about.
So
were
volume
Jupiter
4, episode 2. In a weird way.
Oh God, this could sound so confusing to people who don't really know haven't read this yet. They're like, "Wait, why you guys are turning me off?"
I hear you. I don't know. Whatever.
We're going in publication order. All right.
That's it, man.
Give us a break. All right. Thanks, Jake.
Hey, man. Thanks,
Ron. See you next time.
See ya.
Peace. Hey everyone, it's Ron here with a quick announcement. When I started this channel, I was reading and reviewing the Dune books and other sci-fi related material, and most of you might not know that I'm also a musician. So when I was reading these sci-fi books, I started to get inspired and decided to make my own soundtrack to use for my videos, and now I'm excited to tell you all about the first volume in the Ron Reviews original soundtrack collection. This album includes the first 17 tracks featured on my channel, and it's available now exclusively on Bandcamp. Be sure to check the description of this video for the link to the album. Thanks so much for the support so far. I know I'm just starting out, but I hope you're having as much fun as I am. So check out the original soundtrack Volume 1 on Bandcamp. This music is great if you want something moody and atmospheric to listen to while you're reading some science fiction. I think you're going to love it. Thanks.